Tarantino Universes. Quentin Tarantino confirmed in 2017 that all his films exist within two interconnected universes, one nested inside the other. The director explained to an Australian news outlet that there's a realer-than-real world universe containing films like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Then there's the movie universe, with films like Kill Bill and From Dusk Till Dawn. According to Tarantino, when characters from the realistic universe go to the movies, they watch films from the movie universe. This connection was foreshadowed in Pulp Fiction when Mia Wallace describes a TV pilot about the deadliest woman in the world with a knife, which matches the bride character in Kill Bill exactly. Characters with shared last names are canonically related, like Vic Vega in Reservoir Dogs and Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, who are brothers. Even more intriguing, Dr. King Schultz's wife Paula in Django Unchained shares a name with the Paula Schultz gravestone in Kill Bill Volume 2, dated 1823 to 1853. The possibility of this multiverse being true stems from Tarantino's own confirmation and the deliberate narrative choices he made across decades of filmmaking. This represents one of cinema's most elaborate interconnected universes created by a single director, demonstrating how fiction can exist within fiction as meta-commentary on storytelling itself. Blade Runner. Could Blade Runner and Alien share the same dystopian future across parallel timelines? This theory stems from official DVD bonus features that suggest a corporate connection between the franchises. The 1999 Alien 20th Anniversary Edition DVD mentioned that Captain Dallas worked for the Tyrell Corporation before joining Weyland-Yutani. Director Ridley Scott, who helmed both Alien in 1979 and Blade Runner in 1982, expressed in DVD commentary that he believes they share a universe. The Prometheus Blu-ray from 2012 included a deleted diary entry from Peter Weyland mentioning a mentor who ran his company like a god on top of a pyramid overlooking a city of angels, focusing on genetic abominations rather than simple robotics. This description matches Eldon Tyrell from Blade Runner exactly, including the reference to implanting artificial memories. Even more compelling, Gaff's spinner vehicle in Blade Runner displays the same computer screen interface as the Alien escape pod, with identical red background, font, and digits. The timeline works too, with Blade Runner set in 2019 and Alien in 2122, allowing corporations to evolve from Tyrell to Weyland-Yutani. The theory remains plausible because these connections exist in official releases rather than just fan imagination, and Scott himself has acknowledged the potential link. While never confirmed on screen, the evidence suggests these dystopian worlds could be two chapters in humanity's dark future, or parallel realities within a larger multiverse. Inception's dream. The spinning top at the end of Inception may never stop, suggesting Dom Cobb exists in a nested dream reality. Christopher Nolan's 2010 film ends with an ambiguous shot of Cobb's totem spinning on a table before cutting to black, leaving audiences to debate whether he's still dreaming. The theory argues that Cobb and Saito never actually escape limbo after their mission. The film shows old Saito taking Cobb's gun, implying they'll shoot themselves to wake up, but the movie cuts directly to the airplane scene without showing their escape. Supporting this interpretation, Cobb's children wear identical clothing and appear the same age as in all his memories throughout the film. However, the top does begin to wobble in the final shot, and Michael Caine stated that director Nolan told him scenes with his character take place in reality and he appears in the final scene. There's also the wedding ring evidence, where Cobb wears his ring when dreaming, but has no ring in the final scene, suggesting reality. The theory remains possible because Nolan deliberately created ambiguity and refuses to provide a definitive answer. The director himself said he chooses to believe Cobb gets back to his kids, but acknowledges the ending works precisely because it raises questions about the nature of reality and whether multiple layers of dreams could exist simultaneously, creating a personal multiverse of perception. Interstellar Paradox. Inside the Tesseract in Interstellar, Cooper realizes he was always his daughter's ghost, creating a time loop that suggests multiple timelines converging. Christopher Nolan's 2014 film features Cooper falling into the black hole Gargantua and entering a five-dimensional Tesseract where he can manipulate gravity across time. Cooper deduces that the beings who created the wormhole and Tesseract are future humans who evolved to perceive 5 dimensions. But here's the paradox. These future humans are Cooper's descendants, meaning humanity saved by Cooper must first be saved to exist. This bootstrap paradox, where the effect creates the cause, was deliberately built into the story. The theory suggests the original timeline had humanity die on Earth, while Brand's Plan B colony survived on Edmund's planet. That colony evolved over millennia, developed time travel, then created the wormhole to save the original original Earth timeline, essentially creating a branching multiverse. An additional fan theory proposes that Cooper's fall through the Tesseract caused all the early anomalies at his house through accidental impacts with the bookshelf walls, with each bounce corresponding to different time periods. The theory could be true because physicist Kip Thorne, who consulted on the film, provided the theoretical physics framework that allows the film to explore such causal loops. The film deliberately explores whether effects can precede causes when love and gravity transcend dimensions, suggesting a multiverse where past and future exist simultaneously. Matrix layers. What if Zion in the real world in the Matrix is actually a second simulation within a nested multiverse? This persistent theory claims the machines created multiple Matrix layers to control those who reject the first one. The Matrix Reloaded from 2003 introduces the Architect, who explains the Matrix is in its 6th iteration, and that the Rebel City Zion serves as a pressure valve for non-believers. The theory suggests Zion itself is a second Matrix simulation, designed to contain those who escape the first, exploiting human skepticism by making them think they've reached reality. The most compelling evidence comes from Reloaded, when Neo displays powers in the supposed real world, destroying Sentinels with his mind outside the Matrix. He shouldn't have powers outside a simulation, unless the real world is also simulated. The Architect admits machines have total control over humanity's fate via the Matrix, which supports the idea of multiple layers. The theory remains possible because Neo's unexplained real-world abilities were never properly addressed in the trilogy, and the Architect's revelations about systemic control suggest deeper manipulation. If true, this transforms the narrative into a meditation on nested realities where each level of awakening leads to another layer of control, creating a multiverse of simulated worlds stacked upon each other, with no clear path to true reality. Future parallel. At the end of Back to the Future, Marty watches his alternate self depart for 1955, suggesting parallel timelines branching infinitely. The 1985 film shows Marty returning to find himself in an improved timeline where his family is confident and wealthy. But the Marty he sees leaving for the past, often called Marty 2, grew up with different life experiences. The theory suggests Marty 2 will have a different journey to 1955, altering the timeline again and creating Marty 3. The film explicitly states only one timeline changes, but this creates a paradox where each returning Marty sees another version leaving, potentially creating infinite parallel timelines. A darker theory proposes that Doc Brown killed or exiled Marty 2 to prevent this infinite paradox and potential multiversal collapse. However, Christopher Lloyd dismissed this in a 2018 interview, insisting Doc would never send Marty to his death. Screenwriter Bob Gale explained in 2020 that the film follows an action-comedy model of time travel rather than strict logic. The paradox remains theoretically possible because the film's own rules create it, suggesting a multiverse where infinite versions of Marty exist across branching timelines. The theory persists because it identifies a genuine logical problem that implies multiple parallel realities coexisting simultaneously. By the way, if you're enjoying this type of content, I make videos like this regularly. Subscribing would really help me out. Warhammer Connection. The 1997 horror film Event Horizon may be an accidental prequel to Warhammer 40,000, depicting humanity's first encounter with an alternate dimension called the Warp. Director Paul Anderson's film follows a spaceship that disappeared and returned from a hellish dimension where the crew went violently insane, mutilating and murdering each other. The ship's gravity drive was designed to fold space-time for instant travel, but accidentally transported the crew through a nightmarish realm. The captain ripped out his own eyes and transmitted a Latin warning meaning, "Save yourself from hell." In the Warhammer 40,000 tabletop game setting, ships travel through the Warp, a parallel dimension filled with demonic entities that causes madness and possession without proper protection. The film is set in 2047, approximately 38,000 years before the Warhammer timeline, making it a potential first encounter story. Most significantly, screenwriter Philip Eisner confirmed on Twitter in 2017 that he played Warhammer 40,000 extensively, stating it was definitely an influence, conscious or otherwise. The recent Event Horizon Dark Descent comic series officially names the dimension the Chaos Realm, which is the exact term Warhammer uses for where chaos gods reside. The theory could be true because the screenwriter acknowledged the inspiration, the horrific effects match Warhammer lore precisely, and recent official comics have strengthened the connection, suggesting both properties might share a multiverse where the Warp exists as an alternate reality accessible through experimental technology. Pixar Timeline. The Pixar theory claims all Pixar movies exist in one connected timeline that could represent parallel evolutionary paths within a multiverse. John Negroni originated this theory in a July 2013 blog post that gained millions of views. The theory proposes a timeline beginning with Brave, set in approximately the 10th century, where the witch introduces magic through her ability to bring objects to life and travel through doors. This magic mutates over centuries, leading to the intelligent animals in Ratatouille, Finding Nemo, and A Bug's Life. The theory argues toys gain sentience in the Toy Story series as a result of this same magic spreading through objects. The timeline progresses to WALL-E, set in the year 2805, showing consequences of human departure from Earth, then connects to Monsters, Inc., theoretically set in the 4500s, where monsters travel back in time through closet doors, potentially accessing parallel timelines. Pixar has acknowledged the theory and intentionally includes Easter eggs, like the Pizza Planet truck, Luxo Ball, and the code A113 across their films. Negroni even updated the theory in 2015 after Inside Out to incorporate emotions as the source of consciousness. The theory remains possible because Pixar deliberately plants these connections and has never denied the interpretation, even embracing its popularity. While not official canon, it represents one of the most comprehensive fan theories in modern cinema, suggesting a shared multiverse where different realities and time periods interconnect through magical energy. Stargate Dimensions. The psychedelic Stargate sequence in 2001, A Space Odyssey, may depict Bowman traveling through multiple dimensions of a vast multiverse. Stanley Kubrick's 1968 masterpiece features a famous 10-minute sequence after Bowman reaches Jupiter, showing abstract colors, shapes, and otherworldly landscapes. The monolith near Jupiter acts as a portal, or Stargate, transporting Bowman through what some interpret as multiple dimensions or parallel universes. Visual effects creator Douglas Trumbull used slit-scan photography to create imagery that represents experiencing dimensions humans cannot normally perceive. The sequence includes neon-colored landscapes that don't match gaseous Jupiter or rocky moons, but appear to be Earth scenes with altered colors, suggesting perception of familiar reality through higher dimensional awareness or alternate versions of Earth. Some interpretations suggest Bowman experiences multiple possible realities simultaneously as he passes through this gateway, viewing different dimensional planes. The theory remains plausible because Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke deliberately created an ambiguous sequence that transcends verbal explanation, representing an experience beyond human comprehension. Neither Kubrick nor Clarke provided explicit answers about what the sequence represents, and Kubrick wanted viewers to interpret meaning individually. The multiverse interpretation is one of many valid readings, demonstrating how the Stargate could function as a passage between infinite parallel realities, with Bowman experiencing multiple dimensions of existence simultaneously before his transformation into the Star Child. Ferris Fantasy. A popular Reddit theory claims Ferris Bueller doesn't exist and is actually Cameron's imagined alter ego from a parallel mental reality. The theory argues that Ferris, played by Matthew Broderick in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, from 1986, is Cameron Fry's projection of confidence and freedom. Evidence cited includes how Ferris rarely interacts with other characters besides Cameron and Sloane throughout the film. Ferris's parents and sister never seem to genuinely notice him missing or mention him substantially. Cameron has real problems including depression, a domineering father, and anxiety about life, while Ferris represents the fearless ideal self who takes control. The film's fourth wall-breaking and surreal elements support a dreamlike interpretation where Cameron creates an alternate reality in his mind. The theory suggests the entire Day Off exists in Cameron's imagination, as a mental multiverse, where his ideal self guides him towards self-actualization. The possibility exists because the film's structure deliberately blurs reality with fantasy through direct audience address and improbable coincidences. While many scenes clearly show Ferris with his family, the theory proposes these could be Cameron's imagination filling in details of his friend's life, creating a psychological multiverse where Cameron's perceived reality differs from objective reality, making Ferris a projection that exists in Cameron's personal dimensional space. Snowglobe Universe. The series finale of Saint Elsewhere suggests that hundreds of television shows exist inside an autistic child's snow globe, creating a massive fictional multiverse. The medical drama ended in 1988 with the reveal that the entire series existed in the imagination of Tommy Westfall, an autistic child character. The final scene shows Tommy staring into a snow globe containing a miniature hospital, while his father says he's been lost in his own world. This would be self-contained, except that St. Elsewhere had crossovers with other shows. Dr. Roxanne Turner appeared in both St. Elsewhere and Homicide: Life on the Street. Detective John Munch from Homicide appeared in The X-Files, creating a chain connection. The Tommy Westfall Universe hypothesis tracks all television crossovers and cameos, with a website documenting hundreds of shows potentially existing in the snow globe. Munch appeared in Arrested Development, The Wire, and 30 Rock, connecting all to the snow globe through character crossovers. The theory extends through actor cameos, product placements, and fictional locations shared between shows. The possibility exists because these crossovers genuinely happened and create documented connections between seemingly unrelated programs, suggesting they could all exist within a shared fictional multiverse contained in Tommy's imagination, with each show representing a different reality or dimension within his mental universe. Coherence Splitting. The independent film Coherence from 2013 presents a multiverse theory where a passing comet creates infinite parallel realities that begin interacting. The film follows 8 friends at a dinner party when a comet passes overhead, causing a blackout. After the blackout, strange inconsistencies appear. Characters find a house down the street that looks identical to theirs, with their exact doubles inside. The theory, which is actually the film's premise, suggests the comet's passing causes reality to split into multiple parallel versions, with each universe containing slightly different versions of the same people making different choices. Characters can travel between these parallel realities when they leave the house, potentially swapping places with their alternate selves. The film ends ambiguously, with the protagonist possibly trapped in a wrong universe, with a version of her husband who doesn't fully recognize her. The possibility of this multiverse remains unresolved because the film deliberately maintains uncertainty about which reality is the original and whether the characters ever return to their true timeline. Director James Ward Burkett crafted the entire film around quantum mechanics theories suggesting observation affects reality, with the comet serving as a catalyst for parallel universes to overlap. The theory could be true within the film's logic because quantum decoherence allows for multiple realities to exist simultaneously, and the characters' experiences align with many worlds interpretation where every decision creates branching parallel timelines. If you found this interesting, subscribe so you don't miss future content like this. Thanks for watching.